Instagram is a false perception of reality. I'm obsessed with documentaries. Right now I'm watching this amazing documentary on Netflix called Hardik Pandya, who was one of the most loved cricketers in India, is getting booed in every stadium he goes to. I love to learn from the lives of other people as well. Everybody has good products, everybody has good back-end, everybody has good team, but when that opportunity comes...
So how was it dealing with asthma at that point in time?
I couldn't have Coke, Limca, Fanta, Sprite, couldn't have ice cream. I was different from everybody else and that hurt. When someone said, does anyone have a dust allergy here in school, in the assembly, and I put up my hand. When I lost weight for the first time in my life, the girl who I liked for 3 years said she liked me back. And I said earlier, I grew up with a hand-eye coordination problem. I still have a hand-eye coordination problem. So while everyone was batting, I was bowling.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to LevelUp podcast. Today's guest needs no introduction. He's the co-founder of V3 Ventures, founder Dr.Vaidya, Forbes Asia 30 under 30, Business World 40 under 40, and a podcast host himself. Let me introduce to you guys Mr. Arjun Vaidya. Hi Arjun, what's up, brother?
Thank you, bhai. Thank you for hosting me in the first episode of this exciting podcast. Obviously, we've had so many interesting conversations one-on-one. So
Yes.
Excited to have this discussion with you.
I am excited too. Thanks a lot for doing this, with us. And we've been in touch for, quite some time. It's the first time that we are going to interact on a very friendly basis. So not going to talk a lot about business. So we're going to just chill around and,
Absolutely.
take this conversation.
Excited for the conversation.
Great. Thanks a lot. So Arjun, we're going to do this a little bit differently. And in between I might call you bhai also, as we do on the text. But we are going to do this little bit differently. Instead of introducing about yourself what people already know, which is already there in the media, you are, there in the social media. So people know quite a lot of stuffs about you, right? Tell us something what we don't know. Tell the audience something what we don't know about you, something about your childhood, something about how you were as a kid, how you were growing up. जो लोगों को नहीं पता है. Let's
look, by the way, I want to say one thing that just because some of my life is public doesn't mean all of my life is public. And so sometimes people come to me and say, we know everything that's happening in your life because we see Instagram. I'm like, that's not everything that's happening in my life. Firstly, Instagram is a false perception of reality. You only share what's positive. You don't share everything that's going on in your life. What's not on social is actually I'm a history buff. I studied economics and politics in college. I'm obsessed with documentaries. Right now I'm watching this amazing documentary on Netflix called Turning Point, The Cold War and the Bomb. It's a 9-episode, 10-hour series on the Cold War and how the atomic bomb explosion in 1945 and the use of the atomic bomb by the US on Japan in 1945 affected the next 50, 60 years of our sort of future. So it starts with the bomb and then what happened in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, eventually into the fall of Berlin Wall, end of what we call the Cold War, but still we're in a position where that exists. So I studied politics, I studied economics in college, I love history, and my family loves history, right? So we don't talk about this so much, but every holiday we are those people who are on every tour, going to see every monument, reading about the place, doing our research before we go. Something my dad inculcated in me from a very young age, and so history has always been my favorite subject. I love to learn from the lives of other people as well, right? So every sports documentary, every biography that's available online on the OTT platforms, I've watched all of them because I think that we can learn a lot from the lives of great people and not so great people as well. So I think that's on sort of interest. Outside of that, I love sport and physical activity, both from a watching perspective. I would watch every single IPL game that I could watch. Like yesterday, we had some friends over for dinner. We kept the IPL game on and we watched the whole game. But I also play a lot of sport. I play squash, I play football, I run. I've started now paddle tennis and pickleball as well. I think a lot of discipline, consistency, work ethic, dealing with pressure, dealing with failure. For us in the entrepreneurial work business world, we have lots to learn from sports.
I agree. I
Like
think
we were talking just before we
Yeah.
started the podcast about the biggest topic in cricket right now or IPL right now, which is the switch of captaincy in Mumbai Indians from
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma to Hardik Pandya. And let's leave aside what happened, why it happened, etc. All of that. Today, Hardik Pandya, who was one of the most loved cricketers in
Yeah.
India, is getting booed in every stadium he goes to.
Yeah.
Right? I am thinking from my perspective, what is the person dealing with as the captain of one of India's most successful IPL franchises? Definitely the most successful
Yeah,
IPL
yeah,
franchise
absolutely.
in terms of
and
trophies.
even of India, he is
Successful
one of-
Indian
he is-
cricketer, part of the Indian team.
and he is the future captain of India. I mean, after at least for
Hopefully we don't know, but let's leave that aside. The guy is dealing with so much pressure.
yeah,
In the last game, people are blaming him for single-handedly losing the match with his decisions and his poor batting.
correct.
He's not a bad cricketer. He has all the talent. But how do you deal mentally with this kind of situation? And how does he go on? What is what I'm thinking about?
Yeah,
Leave the politics, the drama, the controversy aside. How does the human deal with that pressure and show up on Monday and win a game at home? That's what I'm thinking about.
yeah. Not even though he does not win, but how does he just show up?
Try to win.
And be in that frame of
Be in the
mind.
zone. Be in the
Yeah,
zone.
Yeah, and be in his zone to actually go out there and perform, to take that 11 people along with you.
Exactly.
And just be on the field and do what he does best.
Correct. And you have the ex-captain who's also the India captain
Yeah.
in your team. You have a lot of superstars in the team, some of whom may not be happy that you're captain.
Yeah.
How do you bring everyone together to
yeah.
be sort of working for your cause? And by the way, one very interesting thing about sport actually is everybody has talent. Everybody has time to practice, everybody has coaching, everybody has all the back-end infrastructure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what matters is when you are in the middle in your chance to perform, you take that opportunity. If you think about it in work as well, it's the same thing,
It's the
right?
same thing.
Everybody has good products, everybody has good back-end, everybody has good team. But when that opportunity comes, when COVID hits, which e-commerce brand won? When demonetization happened, did Paytm grab the opportunity at that time? That is a
If
defining
they
moment.
wouldn't have been able to grab, there would
Somebody
have
else would have grabbed the
no
opportunity.
Paytm.
Somebody else
Yeah.
would have grabbed the
There
opportunity.
would have been no Paytm as a brand which
Absolutely.
would have evolved. There would have been someone else. Right. So tell me something, I think in your childhood, right, let's go back a little bit, you were dealing with asthma, if I'm not wrong. What was it like, how did it shape your, upbringing, or how did it shape you as a person when you were dealing with, a disease or, something which is not easy, right? Because you are into sports, as a child, everyone likes to play, everyone likes to run around. So how was it dealing with asthma at that point in time?
Yeah, so look, I think I'll talk about three things I dealt with growing up. The one thing which everybody knows about is asthma. How was it to deal with the disease at that time? It wasn't easy because I was the only kid who wasn't allowed for sleepovers in my friends' houses. Even if I was allowed, I had to go with my blanket and pillow. Everybody asked, why is he taking his blanket and pillow? While everybody was playing cricket and football, I was playing golf and squash. Because there was less dust on the golf course, and squash is an indoor sport, right? But think about a 7-year-old with a hand-eye coordination problem trying to hit a golf ball. 95% of the balls I hit just didn't get hit, right? So I couldn't have Coke, Limca, Fanta, Sprite. I couldn't have ice cream. I was different from everybody else, and that hurt.
Yeah.
When someone said, does anyone have a dust allergy here in school, in the assembly, and I put up my hand, be the only guy putting up my hand, it felt a little bit weird. When I used to get into sneezing fits in class, because there was dust, and so I would get into sneezing fits, and the teacher would punish me because I was sneezing too loudly. It didn't feel good. And so I felt like I was different for some reason. I didn't like it. And eventually when I got done with asthma and I started playing cricket again and got back my life, it felt good. I will say that the one good thing about it is I don't have a taste for any aerated drink. Because by the time I could have aerated drinks, I was 15 years
Blessing
old.
in disguise.
And so I never liked it and I never have it. I will never have a Coca-Cola ever. Limca, Fanta, Sprite, Pepsi, Thumbs Up, tasty nahi hai. And with that, fortunately, I didn't get the taste for tea or
it's a blessing
coffee.
in disguise.
I don't have a taste for any beverage. I'll have water or sparkling water at best, but that's about it, right? So, the other thing which I was dealing with, I grew up very chubby kid. And so, I was made fun of a lot growing up. And when I lost weight for the first time in my life, the girl who I liked for 3 years said she liked me back and became my girlfriend at age 15. So I said I'm never going to put on that weight again. But I think growing up with that, I've always had this stress towards being unfit, right? And so fitness has become a deep part of my life, and it's very important for me. Whatever happens in my life, I'll still try to find a way to put a 25-30 minute workout in any way, shape or form, right? And so that's a big part of my life. And the third thing I would say is, as I said earlier, I grew up with a hand-eye coordination problem. I still have a hand-eye coordination problem. So while everyone was batting, I was bowling. And even today, I was talking to you about how I love playing football. I tried out for my football team every year from the 3rd to the 8th grade. Every year. And I didn't get in a single time. And then I started playing football again when I was in college. And I knew that talent to nahi hai.
Try karte.
No, talent to nahi hai. Like, I'm not going to be the best guy on the ball. I'm not going to be the most slick striker. I'm not going to score the most goals. So I said, okay, chal, I'll play defender. I'll play right back. But what I can control is I'll run the most on the field. And so today, even when I play football with most of my friends, I don't have the talent. I don't have not played football for school all my life. But definitively, after 1 hour when everybody's panting,
you are not.
I'm owning the game. And so I think that you're going to find your way. What I'm trying to say is that you're dealt a certain hand. There's 2 ways to approach it. One way is to say, hey, I'm not happy with my cards. What the hell? Why did I get dealt this hand? And the second thing is, okay, I got dealt this hand now. How can I make the most of this hand? And try to win or perform the best. Even if I don't win, perform the best with my hand of cards that I'm dealt.
So how did asthma go away? Like, what did you?
Yeah, it was 15 years of Ayurvedic treatment.
Okay.
That I got on with my granddad, and at some point the asthma stayed as allergic asthma, which means I still have a dust allergy, but the pumps, nebulizers, inhalers, steroids, asthma attacks, breathing problems all went away. I mean, I've run 6 half marathons now.
Yeah.
It's not easy for asthmatic to run, so clearly
it's completely gone.
Yeah, I've not had a pump. I used to carry a pump in my backpack everywhere I went. That's not there anymore.
So I'll tell you my story also in this front, right? I didn't have asthma, but I used to have a lot of deep breathing problems when I was a kid, when I was in school. Again, 6, 7, 8 standard types, when we were playing a lot. And I used to be the best player in cricket, football, with my building friends, wherever I used to play, right? Striker in football, cricket, bowling. I used to love bowling. So when people used to like batting, as you said, right? I used to.
India में अगर आपको bowling करना है तो आपको बहुत time मिलेगा nets में.
I used to own bowling and I had to go the first over, right? So it was like that. Batting में चलेगा 1 down, 2 down, I will set it up, but that's not a problem. I used to love bowling, but I had a deep breathing problem, a deep breathing issue. So when I used to run a lot, I used to start panting, right? Even when I used to play at Oval Maidan, football खेलते थे, right? So that time I used to have a lot of panting issues because of this, the dust and stuff like that. So at that point in time, even I had to take some, few pumps and stuff like that. But I did not have asthma. Now what happened is that I was allergic to a couple of food things like chana ki dal, chana ka lot, jo bolte hai, right? So I was allergic to those. I had to remove those from my diet completely, and now it's like much better because I don't touch that. Again, aerated drinks, as you don't have a taste for that, I don't have a taste. Like I don't have aerated drinks at all. No beverages, no tea, coffee, nothing, right? And that's how I think now it is completely off my body. Like I don't have those deep breathing things until unless like I've played a lot or something like that. Oh, theek hai, kabhi on and off. That's fine, right? But tell me, so this is when you were around 14, 15 years, right? When asthma went away also. At that point in time, a certain incident, I would not say an incident, but when was it that, you had lost your grandfather? I think you were very close to him. That I have read across your posts and stuff like that, right? So when did that happen and how did you take that part? How did you deal with it? Because I believe you were very close with it.
Yeah, my granddad paid for my college education first year as well. I promised him I'll go and study biotechnology and come on and take up Ayurveda in Brown University in the US.
Okay.
I went there, I didn't study biotechnology, I studied economics and politics, so he stopped paying after the first year. He told my dad, it's your job to pay now. But I was very close to him. I remember calling him from campus and I saw yoga being repackaged when I was there. yoga mats, yoga gyms, yoga apparel, Lululemon, multi-billion-dollar industry in the US. And I started thinking to myself, it's amazing that yoga is global, but it's not so amazing that Indian companies haven't taken yoga to the world. And we can't let the
And
same
when it
happen
has
with
been
Ayurveda.
introduced in India only, I think yoga,
Yoga is
Ayurveda,
Indian, yeah,
it's
absolutely,
it's an
right?
Indian concept.
So, I remember telling my dada, calling him from campus and saying, we can't let the same happen with Ayurveda. Came back to India in 2013, I was 22, 21 and a half, 22 years old. I worked 3 years in finance at a private equity fund, L Carrollton. And then my dada passed. And at that time, we had this rich legacy, these formulations, a small manufacturing facility. But the legacy was going to die. Because my dad was in the jewelry and watch business. He had started his own business, was very successful. But this legacy was there with us, but it was going to die. And so then I sort of decided at 24 and a half that I can't let this legacy die. I just can't let this legacy die. And what do I have to lose at 24? The worst is I fail, right? At that time, we had a large Ayurveda company offer us money for my dada's formulations. They said, we'll just pay you for the products. And I was like, if that's the value that there is, then I might as well give it a shot and see if I can extract some value from it. Right? And so, yeah, I quit my job and said, okay, I'm going to take forward this legacy and start Dr. Vaidya's.
Okay. What was your, how was it? I mean, you must have worked closely with your granddad before that. Maybe you must have interacted with him about his formulations, about his products or something. What did you learn from him while you were building Dr. Vaidya's, which stuck with you? कि अच्छा इसको ऐसे बनाना है, ये process को ऐसे करना है. What was it?
Actually, it was very odd because I never worked with my granddad.
अच्छा.
I learned a lot from him growing up. And so I think value system was what I took while I was building the business. I learned a lot about consistency. He wore the same clothes every day, had the same routine every day, wore white safari suit with black shoes and a 5 rupee red pen in his pocket every single day for the 25 years that I knew him. So I learned a lot about consistency. He woke up at 4:30 a.m. and started work by reading, then played golf, then came back, had breakfast and then went to work every day for as long as I knew him. So I learned a lot about hard work and I learned a lot about ethics from him, right? He didn't charge for a consultation because he didn't want income strata to prevent people from coming into his clinic. And so these are the value systems and philosophies with which I operated Dr. Vaidya as a CEO. And I think when it comes to sort of learning from him, I did transcribe our formulations from scriptures to computer. I used to work on his laptop. At that time, he had an Acer laptop in the late 90s. It was very exciting.
Oh, acha. In late 90s, Acer. Wow.
He didn't know how to use it so well, so I would use the laptop for him. But I didn't get so much time on the business with him, and I regret that, honestly. But every time I would sort of get stuck on a decision, I would ask my dad, I would think, how would my dada have thought? And something would magically come to me. Like I would find some paper which had the answer, or someone would tell me the answer, the answer would come in front of me. Look, it sounds odd that I'm saying all of these things, but it always came to me.
It always comes.
If I had to find some paper, someone would ask my grandmom, she'd say, why don't you check here, and I'd find the paper there. It was just, it was odd, but it always happened. There was some magic associated with him not being there, but still being there to guide me through the 5 years.
When you say about your grandfather, that consistency, etc., I think that is a similar trait that I learned from my granddad. He just passed away 6 months back. So he used to wear, I've spent around 28, 29 years with him. He used to wear daily same white shirt, white pant, crisp white shirt, white pant and black shoes again. And he used to walk it up from church gate to Masjid Bandar, daily 1 hour of walk. And till COVID hit, I think he was 88 or something, just before COVID hit, he used to go daily, he used to walk daily from church gate to Masjid Bandar where his office is, which is approximately 1 hour, 1.5 hour at that age of 85, 88. So that is a similar trait that, I learned about hard work, about consistency. Does not matter if you wear the same, not the same clothes, but the same type of clothes, right, on a day-to-day basis. What did you learn about Ayurveda as a concept from him, which you would want to share with all of us? Because it is little bit of a, I would not say an untouched space now. Now people are getting...
Now it's well discovered.
Yeah, it's well discovered. But what did you learn? Because 2010 में, 2012 में, it was not that much known, right? And probably even earlier.
See, first thing I'll say is that outside the top 10 cities of India, Ayurveda is very deeply used and known, right? So, 70+% of Indian households use one Ayurvedic product on a daily basis, including yours probably, right? There is some hair oil or some toothpaste or some tooth powder or some digestion product that you are using also.
Acha.
So, it goes deep in
Somewhere it is there.
ये तो किचन में तो आयुर्वेदिक प्रोडक्ट्स है ना
Correct.
ताज लवंग इलायची जायफल जवंत्री
वो सब
केसर
आयुर्वेदिक.
those are all products that we used in our medicines that are also used in our kitchen.
Yeah, I agree.
So Ayurveda goes very deep into our culture. I think there are three things I learned from my grandfather in relation to Ayurveda. One is it's not just about medicine. Ayurveda is dincharya. It's your daily routine. It's your life. It's your food, your exercise, your yoga, and your supplementation all comes into Ayurveda. Number two, Ayurveda is not to be used in every circumstance.
Okay.
If you are suffering from fever and you need to bring the fever down instantaneously, you may have to use paracetamol to bring it down. My dada was totally okay with that.
Okay.
He said when you're suffering from fever, instantaneously I'll give you a paracetamol even though he was an Ayurvedic doctor. But long term I'll give you an immunity booster so you don't get the fever again.
Yeah.
So the principle of taking a disease from its root cause while symptomatic relief, actually Ayurveda and allopathy worked hand in hand in that. So that's the second. And the third thing I learned from my dada about Ayurveda was that it's not just about pushing medicine down a patient. It's not just about selling something to them, but it was a lot about relationship building, right?
Okay.
So now I ran a products business. My dada ran a clinic,
Service, which is a service.
service business. But when my dada passed, more than 2,000 people came for the funeral.
Wow.
80% of whom we did not even know, but who knew everything about us. After he passed, I got LinkedIn messages with my photos, with people knowing where I went to college, where I went to school, everything, right? So he had a deep impact on these people's lives outside of the medicine as well. And that was the objective that we had at Dr. Paisa banayenge, sales karenge. But can we create a better experience for customers? Can we give them a free consultation on phone, on video call? And can we take Ayurveda to places it's never been before? The biggest success of Dr. Vaidya's was going to 16,500 pin codes. That's 60% of India. We gave people in Andaman and Nicobar access to Ayurvedic products. And they didn't have it. And Ayurvedic care and something trustworthy. And so the objective of service and making people's lives better was deeper than just making money. And I learned that from my dada.
Okay.
There were so many people who didn't have any money, who he supported, gave a little bit of money, helped them with their business, sat with them for half an hour even though he didn't need to. If there were 300 patients in a clinic coming every day, 50 patients waiting outside, he'd still give that time to that patient.
I think that value of time, which...
And the value of more than just transaction, building relationship. I'm a deep believer in relationship.
spending time with that
I'm a deep believer in relationship. You know, I don't mind helping people. There is a way to build a relationship that's not transactional. There is a way to really do that, and I learned that from my granddad.
I think today what has happened is also someone who's asking for help also has become transactional help. So someone who's going to give that help, automatically it gets imbibed into him that okay, this is a transactional thing, kind of a thing. So when someone is asking also for help, I believe it's very important that you really genuinely want to take that person's advice, take that person's suggestions, right? And
Correct.
Genuinely sit down with him to understand what he can do good for you, right? Whether it's for money or for non-monetary kind of a reason, right? Tell me, when you were in school, right? You were in Dhirubhai and then you went to Brown University, right? Not everyone can go to Dhirubhai. Not everyone, in India can go to Brown University. What's the difference in the kind of education that you would, say that, okay, this was something which you learned at Dhirubhai or you learned at Brown University, which a normal person, right, would not be able to learn in his or her school or college? Because let's say, for example, I've gone to GD Somani, right? Again, a South Mumbai good school, right? And I've gone to KC College. Okay, what is it that I might have missed that you might have got in your education of studying at Brown or at Dhirubhai Ambani?
See, I'll tell you one thing about Dhirubhai Ambani International School that people don't know about, right? They talk about various things associated with the school, but grades wise, it's the best school in India and top 15 IB schools in the world.
Yeah.
It is a really, really academically inclined place that teaches you a lot about hard work. So the ethic of working hard enough to get the results that I wanted was something that school imbibed in me.
All right.
They wanted everybody to excel, and mediocre or even good was not acceptable. The school's motto is dare to dream, learn to excel, and truly they pushed us for excellence, or they pushed us to be the best versions of ourselves.
Can you give some example how?
So when we went to the school, everything was a possibility. Which means if I wanted to set up a cricket team, I could find a coach who was a history teacher. I could set up the cricket team. If I wanted to invite some students from Pakistan and Bangladesh for a peace conference, I could do that. Everything was a possibility as long as your academics didn't suffer in the process. And even with academics, actually, I was a good student in Cathedral, my previous school. But in the AIS, I was top 15, top 20, not top 1, 2, 3. And so I was pushed to go from top 10 to top 5 and top 3 of the school. And when you're pushed and you react, you actually become better than you were in the past. And so that level of hard work made college in the US seem like a breeze. DAIS was academically the hardest 2 years of my life, but it prepared me for the real world. Because the real world is that hard. And so I really, as an academically inclined student, I became even better while I was part of that school. In Brown and in just global college education experience, I think there is obviously the access to the liberal arts curriculum, there's the access to take classes outside of your core area. So while I studied economics and politics, I took classes in sociology, anthropology, entrepreneurship, architecture, Spanish. I learned all of these things and it gave me massive exposure
so how many
outside.
Years you were at Brown?
4 years at Brown.
4 years.
3 years of which I learned Spanish. And so by the time I came, I was an intermediate Spanish speaker. But the other thing about my Brown experience, which is truly special, is the people. When I graduated from college and I got married 5 years later, 75 of my friends out of India made the effort to come down to Mumbai for my wedding and spend those 3 days with my family. When I used to invite my parents to campus, not just the friends, but the professors, the janitor, the person who used to help with our laundry, everybody would come and speak to my parents. That was a beautiful community, a happy, positive community that Brown University created, which I don't believe is there anywhere else in the world. And so I still feel so much for the college. I still run the alumni body in India. I still host the incoming students every year before they go to Brown. And I feel that sort of love and association. I wouldn't say India mein missing hai, but I would say that international exposure, the depth of loyalty and feeling towards the college, and the amount of exposure outside the classroom is something that I got that I don't think everybody else gets.
Got it. But do you think that in Indian education and in Indian hospitality also, the way Indian colleges or universities are, that level of hospitality is there, which was there at Brown?
See, Devansh, my dream is that my daughter studies in college in India. If it means she does 3 years here and 1 year abroad, etc., all of that. But over the next 18 years, I hope and pray that Indian universities are able to give a similar experience. We are seeing green shoots of this with Masters Union and MESA. There are people thinking about it in a new way. Yes, are we there yet? I don't think we are. We are not there yet in terms of the outside classroom experience. The inside classroom experience in some of India's top institutions, including IIMs and IITs and ISBs of the world, is there. But the outside classroom experience, campuses, exposure, global international student body, we need to get there. And I'm sure we're taking the right steps, but we have some way to go to it.
And I think I second that, because where you say that we are taking some right steps, right? There are so many, at least in the entrepreneurship world, there are so many e-cells that have come out in all the universities now. You take any university, they have an e-cell. They're doing something which is not there in the curriculum. They're trying to arrange events, they're trying to arrange shows, etc., etc. And they're going outside their comfort zone with very limited budget, and they're trying to put up something.
Let me tell you a story of a prospective tier 3 entrepreneur from Bokaro that I met recently. Right? So he grew up in Bokaro. His family is still in Bokaro. And he wanted to get out of Bokaro, so he got a scholarship to go to Christ College in Bangalore. He worked in Bangalore for a little bit, and then he raised money or borrowed money to do an MBA in Canada. He now lives in Canada. He has a job in investment banking. He's paid off all his debt. And he's now looking to start up in India, and that's why he met me. And we discussed his startup idea, etc. Then he ended the call with one question. He said, what do you think tier 2 and tier 3 entrepreneurs are doing right now? What's the entrepreneurial passion and fervor in tier 2, tier 3 entrepreneurs? He told me he watched Suits and that's what inspired him to have a corporate career. I said, you watched Suits 15 years ago and I watched Suits 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Today's young people are watching Shark Tank. So just imagine where they will go and where they will see the possibilities. I think the generation today, while people say a lot of things about them negatively, they have complete access to information. They have complete access to aspiration. And they are much more ambition, see much more possibilities than we did. And so I'm actually very positive about the future of our country.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, I think, bang on. This one question I'm very curious to know from all my guests. Okay, so since I'm a CA, I'm a finance guy, I like to understand the money mindset of the guest, right? So tell me, Arjun, like what was your first lesson about money that you learned? From whom it was and when was this?
My first lesson about money was when I was 15 and a half years old.
Achha.
I learned this from my dad. So I had a girlfriend at the time. We went to US and Canada for a holiday. At that time, incoming was 90 rupees a minute, outgoing was 150 rupees a minute.
You went with your
family to US and Canada,
I
but
thought with your girlfriend.
No. But to call back to India or to pick up a call from India was 90 and 150 rupees a minute.
Yeah.
But I had a girlfriend, so I had to call and I was very excited about it and all of that, right? So, when I came back to Bombay, my phone bill came and that time I was 15, so the phone bill used to go to the parents. The phone bill in 2007 was 35,000 rupees.
Oh my God.
Okay. My dad showed me that bill. I thought I'm screwed. Completely screwed. He said, you have a summer before you start your 11th grade. I have a store in Phoenix Mills. You'll go work in that store and you'll make the money back. That's it. No anger, no stress, no nothing. He said, you have made a mistake. You'll go and work in my store and you'll earn the money back. And I worked in the store, I earned the money back and I never made the mistake again. But I thought that was the best way to teach me that lesson.
Yeah. I think instead of shouting, instead of...
and when I worked in that store, I learned a lot, right? I was the boss's son, so I was treated differently. I had to learn to make relationships with the team there. I had to learn to be on my feet for 9-10 hours. And by the way, even if you're not walking around, just standing.
This is a retail store.
It was a retail store. It was called Watches and More.
Jewelry, basically.
It was called Watches and More. It was a multi-brand jewelry, watch and sunglass retail concept.
Where was the store?
Phoenix Mills.
Phoenix Mills, okay.
At that time, the place to be, right?
Yeah.
And very good location, ground floor location, etc. All of that. All my friends were chilling that summer because they just finished ICSE. They would all come and pass the store and make fun of me for working at the store. But that was a beautiful experience in learning work ethic, right? Like standing for 9-10 hours is, by the way, the most tiring thing in the world.
Yeah.
If you're not walking up and down, just standing for 9-10 hours is a really hard thing to do. But I love that experience. So it taught me a lot about respect for money, how long it takes to earn 35,000 rupees, how much effort it takes. And I really value money.
So you got a stipend or a salary or something? Or
I got a stipend, but I got a percentage of sales.
Achha, so you were properly into sales. So thoda sales
I had to sell 3.5 lakh rupees worth of product to make back my 35,000 rupees.
That was your 10%.
I did over 3 weeks.
Over 3 weeks. So you were good into that. That selling skill was there.
But it was not cheap, right? The watches were 5-10,000 rupees also. So I didn't sell like some 5,000 watches or anything like that, right?
But still, I think at that point in time, 10,000 was a good...
It's a big number.
It's a big number and it's like an aspiration.
So I'll tell you from there what happened to me. I had a deep value for money from there, right? And still today, I've sold my company. I am fortunate to have access to some amount of capital, wealth, etc. I don't fly business class. I don't see value in flying business class.
Yeah.
So I have never flown business class. When I sold my company, my dad is very passionate about cars. He likes cars. I don't like cars. For me, cars point A to point B. I don't really care about the car. So
I like Uber.
I was in a Hyundai Creta. I bought a Hyundai Creta at that time, 5 years ago, 2016. And I bought the Hyundai Creta also when my dad said, "Abhi tu company ka CEO hai. If you drive around in a Honda Jazz, no one's taking you seriously." So he paid 40%, I paid 60%. I bought my first car, Hyundai Creta. He said, "Abhi 5 saal ho gaye, you've sold your company. Upgrade the car a little bit at least." I said, "Okay, all right. 5 years are over. I'll upgrade my car." Right? So he said, "Come, I'll take you to buy a car." He took me to Audi and Mercedes and BMW and stuff. And look, for people who like cars and have passion for it, respect, right? You buy a good car, you like the car for the car, regardless of whether it looks good or not, you like the car for the car. I didn't realize what expensive cars cost. And I said the difference between the price of my car and this car is 7-10 startup investment, so I'm not interested. So I eventually bought a MG EV and I was happy with that. That was about 10-15% more expensive than my existing car. So I sold that car and I bought a new car and upgraded myself. But I have no value aspiration for it. I don't think it's 7 startup, 10 startup investments are much more valuable to me. I'll spend the most amount of money on the best running shoes. I'll buy the best squash racket.
That's your interest.
That's my interest. And so on that I'll spend. But on something I'm not interested, I'm not going to spend just because other people care.
I agree. I think
I wear this fitness band on my hand. I spend a 20 rupee subscription, $20 subscription a month to wear this fitness band. But this is what I want to spend on. I'll spend on DNA tests and microbiome tests and longevity tests, thousands of rupees. That's where I have interest.
I think that's a good point that you make. I mean, that value system is very important, wherein you don't compare with the
And it's not somebody else's. Don't buy it for somebody else, buy it for yourself.
You don't have to buy it because of FOMO or because you have to show it off to someone else. I think that is something that everyone needs to learn about money. It's your own hard-earned money. You spend it wisely where you feel that, that will give you that satisfaction. It will give you that delight. It will make you feel happy. अच्छा ये मैंने खुद के पैसे से अच्छे तरह से मेरे खुशी के लिए लिया. I think that's very important. Many of the youngsters fall prey to the fact that नहीं यार ये दोस्त के पास है तो I need to upgrade to this thing. तो उसके लिए let me take on loan, let me use my credit card. So I don't think that is worth it, right? So that's very interesting, take on money. Let's come थोड़ा money और family से छोड़ के, let's come to your love life. Let's come to your personal life in that respect. So how did you meet Trisha? I just saw her for the first time, but how did you meet her? Was it love at first sight? What was the thing? How did you all both get married?
So strangely actually,
when did you all get married?
Strangely actually, our parents knew each other from the time we were born. So her mom had come. Her mom is good friends with my aunt and uncle, so she had come to the hospital when I was born, and we went on a holiday together when I was 1 and she was 2. And we still have a photo from that trip, but then we didn't meet ever again. Until 2014, she was working at Goldman in the UK after finishing her undergrad in the UK. I'd moved back to India in 2013. A common friend invited me to the restaurant opening of her brother. Her brother used to run a pizza business. He had a restaurant opening in, again, Phoenix Mills. So I went for that. She had come back for a week to India to assess life in India. And we met there for the first time. And we got along, but she was going back to the UK. So then 3-4 months later, when she came back to India, we met again a few times. And then we started talking on Facebook message at that time, 2014. And then 3 months later, we started dating. So this was end of 2014, we started dating. We got engaged in February 2017. And we got married in February 2018. Even the engagement was actually pretty funny. My dad kept on telling me, are you serious with this girl? Are you serious with this girl? Are you serious with this girl? I knew what happens when you tell a Gujarati parent you're serious. So I told him, Jan 1st, 2017, I'm serious. He said, okay, let's call the parents. So I said, okay, you can call the parents. That's fine. So he said, but her dad has to call me. So I called my girlfriend at the time. And I said, you tell your dad to call my dad and say that they want to meet. So her dad obviously called. And he knew my dad, so they spoke, and then he's like, why don't you come, I'd like to meet. So my dad said, why don't you come to our home? And then my dad said, why don't you join for coffee? So he said, okay, I'll come at 5 o'clock. Then my dadi said, but the muhurat is at 7 o'clock. So he can't come at 5 o'clock. So my dad said, first time we are meeting them, how can we call them for dinner? So my dad calls back and says, okay, why don't you guys come at 7 actually? So her dad said, I can't come at 7 for coffee. Might as well eat dinner at 7 o'clock, right? So eventually they came for dinner. And then again my dad said that who's going to bring it up? It looks bad if I bring it up, they should bring it up. So that whole time there was an awkwardness of who's going to bring up the conversation. Starters got complete, dinner got complete, dessert was getting complete. And on the cake it said, welcome home Trisha. So someone had to breach the conversation, and eventually they breached the conversation, and like that they were engaged. There was no okay, there's time to propose, etc. So I said, okay, in your eyes we are engaged and the Goldana is on this date, but I still have to propose, so please don't tell any of my friends. So that's how we got engaged. And then 1 year later we got married in February 2018. So it's been more than 5 years now. 6 years.
More than 5 years.
6 years.
Okay, now you have a baby also.
Yes.
Who's 2 years?
No, 15 months.
15 months old. Wow. What's her name?
Aisha.
Aisha.
Arjun and Trisha.
Arjun, Trisha, Aisha. Oh yeah.
So my brother named her.
Oh okay. Your brother
Younger
is older,
brother.
younger to you. What does he?
He works in the family business with my dad.
In the family business. Karan Arjun. Okay, good. What's your take on now? This I'm asking you as a older brother, okay? Since you're married for 5 years, I'm married for 1.5 years, so thoda experience tip bhi mil jayega. But tell me your honest perspective on marriage. Like, what is marriage to you, and what is love to you? And post marriage, how do you combine the two? How has it worked for you? You can give your personal experience, say, you can share your thoughts, or when you look at your friends also who have probably done arranged marriage or love marriage.
See, arranged marriage or love marriage aside, like I was lucky to find my partner, but everyone is not lucky enough to find their own partner. So eventually someone introduced me, right? Someone invited me to some place where I saw, and so there is other ways to meet people and get introduced to people. By the way, some people are against all.
There are apps also.
Some people are against apps. I'm not against apps at all. It's just another way to meet people, right?
It's a medium.
So I'm okay. I think finally the couple has to decide whether it's something for them to take it forward. Today's arranged marriages don't happen where you meet someone in one day you're married. Right? That's not the case. You get to know each other, you get to date, you get to spend time, etc. All of that. I think for me, marriage was something I was never nervous about. Some people get nervous when they get engaged, some people get nervous when they get married. I had no nervousness at all. So with my marriage, no cold feet. People say cold feet, are you nervous? No. I was just excited for the party.
Okay, tell me about Arjun Vaidya, the brand. We are a brand ban chuke ho, right? How, I mean, there is approximately 1 lakh on LinkedIn, 2 lakh on Instagram, maybe more on Twitter or Facebook, etc. Threads, maybe, right? How have you been able to build this, and what has been your, if I were to say a mantra to build this particular brand of yours, because now you are a force well reckoned with in especially in the consumer or the D2C space, right, which you have really made it your own.
Sure.
So
look, I would say numbers don't matter to me when it comes to this brand thing. People call it personal brand, personal branding, etc. That numbers don't matter to me. And I will just show up. And I'll put in the maximum effort, and I put in the maximum effort in anything. And the second thing is also, I'm not so bothered about numbers or views or anything. I'm bothered about creating value and valuable content. Just because something's controversial and get views, I won't post because I'm not a creator. I don't care for the views, I don't live for the views. But if I can add value to tens of entrepreneurs, hundreds of entrepreneurs, thousands of entrepreneurs, they can view what I'm saying and learn something from it, implement their business, save time, effort, energy. If I can add that value, that's the reason I do it. And I think to some way, shape or form, it's helping people. And that's the idea to do it. Look, I won't lie, it helps me with my work as well. If I am known to entrepreneurs, when I reach out to them, they reply to me faster. I don't have to set context. If there's a competitive deal, people are excited to work with me rather than anybody else. Or me over some other people. And so that helps me with work also. But I think the overarching philosophy is this.
Right. So you have made this conscious effort of posting regularly. Is this your own post, so to say, like you think over it and you just put it across? Is this like a proper marketing thing that you are doing for your, your personal brand, or for V3 also for that matter? Or it is just, okay, naturally, mujhe ye post karna hai, I'm just doing it,
No, there is no structure as such.
There is no strategy or structure behind it.
No, I think there's one part of strategy, which is that V3, if we have a thesis of we want to invest in this space, we talk about it openly, and we think that sharing it publicly is the most effective way to tell entrepreneurs that we're doing this. Having said that, what I write about comes to my mind and I write about it. And I write about it.
You only write.
I create the content myself, the ideas are all mine. I don't have people doing research and telling me, iske baare mein likho, iske baare mein post karo.
ऐसा वो नहीं है जो LinkedIn पे लिखते हैं, like if
I am passionate about something, I'll write about it. If I have nothing to say about something, I won't write about it. Even if the world is talking about it, it's not relevant to me, I won't write about it. Or I'm not the right person to write about it, I won't write about it. Right? And so, yesterday I wrote about the business of IPL and why advertisers and brands find IPL a lucrative opportunity to advertise in. And who should not advertise in the IPL as well?
Yeah.
I'm passionate about IPL and I'm passionate about the business of sport, so I wrote about it.
Yeah.
May not have been the most trending topic on LinkedIn, but I don't care. It's what I felt and what I wanted to write about. So I wrote about it.
Yeah, which could have become the trend maybe then.
Maybe that doesn't matter to me, right?
Then the outcome does not matter.
Correct.
It's about the input, what you felt as content which could probably add value.
And it's relevant to my D2C brand ecosystem because I talked about all the D2C brands who've partnered with the IPL this year. Maybe some brand wants to partner in the future. They would think about this, read this, learn something from it. That's the idea.
Got it. All right. Tell me about this new show. I don't know if you are allowed to speak or something, but I think you're going to be a part of a new show.
It's already done.
It's already done.
Yeah, it was called...
Tell us something about it.
It was called Mission Startup. It's live on Amazon Prime now.
Okay.
It's a different show from Shark Tank in that it's more apprentice style. So there are 10 startups and they go through challenges each week. And I think I really enjoyed it because I was part of the team that came up with the concept of the show and came up with the challenges as well.
So
with Amazon Prime and the production agency Endemol Shine. I helped create the situations and also helped create the startups. And I think overall it was a great experience for me. It's the first time on a TV set for me. But also I'm just so happy that more and more of this is coming out for our entrepreneurial ecosystem, right? When I was growing up, there was no entrepreneurship content. And today entrepreneurs are heroes, like celebrities and influencers and sports people. People are taking selfies with entrepreneurs as well. I mean, that's amazing.
So
I met so many companies who've been on Shark Tank. Random people on the road recognize them and say, hey, can I get a photo with you? I know your product, I want to buy your product. That's beautiful, right? It's not just the big guys. It's even the mid-sized guys who are getting recognition. And that's beautiful.
And who come on Shark Tank, I think they are getting recognition.
Lovely recognition. I've had 60 people from my D2C cohort who've been on Shark Tank.
An investor, right? So you are going to live invest
As a guest judge.
As a guest judge.
I'm not an investor. I didn't go as an investor. I went as a guest judge.
Okay. What is the format of the show like? Okay.
So I went on the first episode, which was the naysayers episode. So there's a startup pitching, and there are 10 people sitting in the room who are sitting on a chair around which there's a colored box, a colored circle. The circle starts as red. The objective of the entrepreneur is through that pitch plus the questions the naysayers ask, you try to convert as many reds to greens. And that's the real world situation, right? Most customers are naysayers until you convince them. And so in that 7-8 minute process, how many people can you convince to become from a naysayer to a yesayer?
Okay. But
that was the first episode. Like that, every episode is a different kind of challenge.
Concepts in different episodes, basically.
Every episode is a different challenge.
Okay. But
I leave the rest for people to watch the show and understand.
But is it an investment wala show? Something like
eventually, at the end, it's an investment show, but you have to get through the challenges first.
Okay. So that challenges are different
It
episodes.
eliminates people every week and then eventually the top few.
Got it. I'll definitely try to catch up on this one. Okay. Let's move to our last segment before we wrap the show, which is the rapid fire part. Let's go with that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions.
Sure.
Be rapid, be quick. All right. First question: you versus Trisha, who wins an argument?
Wife always wins, and wife is always right.
We always have to say sorry. Sorry. That's okay. You're right. All right. Good one. Choose one between these two: V3 Invest or Dr. Vaidya's.
Today V3. Yesterday, Dr. Vaidya's.
Good diplomatic. I like that. Entrepreneur. So choose one again between the two: father or grandfather.
I'm a father now, so father.
Okay, great. One positive and one negative thing about startup founders in general, like what you're observing, when you meet people, when you meet entrepreneurs.
Positive is the optimism and the ambition and the enthusiasm. Negative is sometimes not able to take feedback so well because so deeply invested in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that happens quite a lot.
You're just so deeply invested in it, right? You're a horse with blinders.
So there was this one episode in Shark Tank India 3 right now. I'm forgetting the startup's name. They were into car washing service.
Sure.
I don't know if you've seen or something. I'm forgetting the name of that brand. They had met me 3 times before they went on Shark Tank, right? And before the episode aired. That went me 3 times at 3 different. Once he specifically came to meet me in Mumbai. Once we met at Nagpur in some event, and once in Delhi at some other event. All the 3 times we discussed on a similar thing. He was looking to raise funds, etc. And I told him multiple times about his model where he needs to correct it.
Sure.
He needs to course correct it.
And that's what happened on Shark Tank.
That's what happened on Shark Tank. And he did not get the funds because of the exact same reason. And I was telling my dad, I told my wife, this guy has come to meet me. I've told him the same thing. And he's getting the same feedback. He did not implement, and the 3 meetings have happened over a period of one year. So, 1 saal mein he has still not implemented. Right, which is okay, but he got that same feedback and he got a rejection because of the same thing. So I think you are right.
To take feedback well.
That feedback to take.
You don't have to take all feedback.
Yeah.
My view with feedback is actually take it all, process it, and act on what you think is relevant. But act on something.
Act on something, because someone is giving you out of some experience. अगर आपने पूछा है वो free में दे रहा है तो उसको there is no.
But one thing I'll say is India में सब लोग free का advice देते हैं.
हाँ, सब लोग देते हैं.
Take only the relevant advice and not every advice.
One, right? So, okay, the last one, right? If not a startup founder and an investor right now, then what you would have chosen?
Own a sports team.
Yeah.
Own a sports team.
Own
See, I'm not talented
but again,
enough.
That's an entrepreneur.
I'm not talented enough to be a coach, and definitely not talented enough to be a player. So, manager, chalo, a manager in a sports team.
Manager in a sports team. Okay, got it. So, good. I think that was a very good rapid fire. Last question before we wrap up this. One piece of advice that you would want to give to your 20-year-old self.
Take that computer science class which you were lazy to take in college.
Huh.
We had a computer science class at Brown which was really good, but really hard.
Okay.
I took it and I dropped it because it was too hard. Today, everything I do is in the digital ecosystem, e-commerce, consumer technology. I wish I would have taken that computer science class. So, if there is a hard class, maybe it will help you in the long term. So, take the pain in the short term for the long term benefit. I didn't.
All right, great. But still, you are helping those people who are, who have
But
taken
they would have been quicker, more efficient if
Yeah,
I had
more
taken that class
Yeah.
in Dr.Vaidya's when we were doing our website and all of that.
Yeah, I think that would have been little more efficiency would have been better. All right, thank you, Arjun.
Thank you, Devansh.
Thanks a lot for this
Superb,
podcast.
superb. Enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you, thanks a lot. What's up, guys? Before I sign off, I would love to know whether you really liked this video or not. If you did, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, click on the notification bell so that whenever our video goes live, you are notified first. This would be a really small task for you, but trust me, this would help us a lot in spreading this knowledge world over and helping people level up their knowledge. Signing off, Devansh Lakhani.